You cannot survive without your farmers.
Real farmers!
Real food!
It's the family farmers that are going to suffer with this tax that's been brought in.
If you take away this, you've nothing left.
And once it's gone, it's gone.
Now they've said you must be dead by April 2026 if you want to pass your farm on to your children.
It's a far-left, globalist, Stalinist, hybrid agenda.
Farming itself is all about British culture.
Absolutely shocking. It is the death of the family farm tax, as they put it.
British farmers, the very people that feed the nation, are here today to protest against a 20% inheritance tax on land valued over £1 million. They believe this tax will force farmers to sell their land in order to cover the bill. Now, we've seen what happened in France when it comes to protesting. Farmers don't mess around. Now, British farmers have come here with the message, no farmers, no food. Let's see what they have to say. Let's go. So I see a sign, no farmers, no food, no future. How realistic is that message?
Well, it is for 70,000 family farms, to be honest. OK, they want to clobber the rich. These landowners who come in, like Clarkson and the pension funds and all that, you know, buying up acres of British farmland and that. Yeah, they're at the top end. But it's the family farmers that are going to suffer with this tax that's been brought in. The ordinary family farmers who are going to pass it on from generation to generation. And this is going to be, you know, a 20% kick, you know, it's just ridiculous.
We're part of at least 6 generations of family farms, and this tax will devastate us and will stop us being able to do the work that we've always done, so it has to be overturned, and we're hoping this can help the government realise that.
Like you said, you pass your farm down from generation to generation. Is that the case with most farms, that they don't sell, that they usually just pass it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much a family affair. We pass on generational knowledge that we've learned over the years and over the centuries for a lot of people, and yeah, we would really much like to keep this going, but this tax won't make that possible.
It's going to affect us massively.
Yeah, and I see a sign, don't bite the hand that feeds you. I think that's pretty spot on, hit the nail on the head. What's kind of happening with this tax law? What are your thoughts on it?
It's just going to devastate family farms. We're not cash rich, we're asset rich, which is fine, and that's what you work for all your life. That's the payday at the end.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to take it away from us, and at the end of the day, be very careful what they wish for, because we do feed the nation, and if they keep pushing us, we will grind to a halt.
Yeah, like I said, like many farmers are cash poor but asset rich on paper. I mean, what have you got to say for people who say stuff like just sell another Land Rover and, you know, make up the cost like that in that way?
They could say that, but then they want you to pay capital gains on that, which is 40%. So you're even worse off, and then land will be devalued off the back of this, so it won't be worth what it was in the first place to sell.
Cereal crops this year, because I didn't see us turning a profit from it, so I had to branch into something else.
Well, it's the second worst year on record for yields from wheat, barley.
Why do you think they actually want to implement this tax? I mean, it seems like, you know, you've seen the numbers and people aren't happy about it. Why are they doing it?
I think it's to stop people using it as a tax relief. A lot of people have seen it that way, as being able to do it. The bother is the government are not actually taking the time and the consideration to sit down with us and talk and work out an actual plan. Like, yes, there should be something in place to restrict that. I believe half of the farms in England and Wales last year were not bought by farmers, which is quite a serious figure, because that shows how much land we are actually losing as production. And it's extremely important for food security in Britain.
How likely do you think it is, I mean, after 2026, that we do enter some sort of food security crisis? Is that going to happen?
It's already happening now.
The prices of food is going up and up and up, and the farmers get blamed for the prices, but it's supply and demand at the end of the day.
New Zealand lamb, it's half the price of English lamb. You know, it is, like you say, it is from the supermarkets that are starting it. You know, they should really put a premium or subsidise English food to make it, you know, so you can compete.
Yeah, I mean, food prices themselves are just so high at the minute. Is it just going to get higher if this continues?
Yeah, I hope so. Until they change it, I hope so.
We've had talks of it. Yeah, no farmers, no food. Do you think that the reality is there could be a kind of a shortage of food, that you guys will go on strike and stop supplying food?
Yeah, there's always potential for that, but we're not sure at the moment. We'll find out.
What they don't realise, there's a lot of companies that make stuff. You know, bread. There's a lot of companies that make bread, and there's a lot of companies that use our wheat and everyone's produce to make things. It's not just the end product from the farm, it's everything that goes on to. You know, what's they ever going to do without their pork pies?
So if the government want to finish these farms off, they can't go to Europe and say, can you send us tons of meat or tons of vegetables, because they're having the same problems that we are. We need to now look after the farmers, because once they're gone, they're not going to get back into it. I mean, to set up a dairy farm now, you're talking £5 million for the land, the animals, the machinery. Well, if I had £5 million, I wouldn't be breaking my neck to try and make a living. So no one will. And once it's gone, it's gone.
So these guys behind me have got a big sign that says, "Stop killing people who feed you," and that's literally the message today. They believe that if this policy does get implemented, that farmland will just decrease and there will be less and less farmers in the UK. And it's absolutely tipping it down today. And look at the turnout. People have come from all over. And yeah, big farming community. It just shows you how big this industry is. I mean, look at it. Wow. So Jeremy Clarkson's just arrived. Look at the carnage trying to chat to Clarkson. Wow. Hi Jeremy, you came out this week and said Rachel Rees is trying to ethically cleanse farming. Do you think, how true is that, do you think?
I'm not quite sure what our goals are, but it certainly looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. What are some issues with farming that the public don't really see day to day?
Whoops, careful everyone. Guys, watch yourselves. Right, Uncle Jackson.
Yeah, what are some of the issues that we don't see with farming? As you saw, that was a kind of media frenzy for Jeremy Clarkson. Besides the protest that we're seeing just out here, there's a separate one with the farm NFU, apparently with like local MPs as well. So that's what's happening over there. But we're just returning back to the main protest just over here. You can see the crowds are starting to build. People have come from all over. I've even spoken to people all the way from Yorkshire. I mean, look over here. It's expected that thousands and thousands meant to arrive today. And you can see how passionate farmers are about the issues that are going on.
Yeah, no one can.
Let's go inside here. So I'm shafting British farmers.
Where to start? I mean, they promised, they said it'd be desperate nonsense to change agricultural rules. And this doesn't affect just farmers, this is all businesses. They've created a window. They've always told farmers to die with their boots on, and now they've said you must be dead by April 2026 if you want to pass your farm on to your children. Farming returns are about half to 1%. That's 20 plus years just to pay your tax before you've taken stuff out the farm to live on. And then they just tell you to suck it up and calm down and to do more with less. And our DEFRA secretary, meanwhile, is opening Waterstones in Streatham when there's protests on Saturday. What are they like? They just constantly double down. They've never even said they'll listen. They've done no impact assessment. They don't understand what they're doing. This isn't even just about farmers. This is the whole rural economy. They're devastating it and they don't get it and they're not even coming out to talk to us or listen.
What are you seeing at the minute with farmers in the UK? I mean, why are they so against this tax being implemented?
It's not necessarily just this tax. It's the potential start of something bigger. And we want to stop this attack on farming.
Right.
So our fear is if we let this go through, it enables a scope for something bigger to come. They could increase the tax, or they could. It's just stopping it happen before it goes too far. It just feels like a constant attack on us.
What about other industries where people have to pay tax and people are kind of against, oh, we pay tax, so why don't you guys pay tax?
Yeah, a valid point, absolutely. But the difference is we need our land to grow food on. I don't think anyone should pay tax personally. I don't think it's fair at all. It's a death tax.
Right.
But because we run businesses, we used to benefit from business property leave, agricultural property leave. It's not just us that's been affected, it's small businesses, big businesses as well.
Yeah.
So to be taxed on something that you need to have, like a shop floor, it just makes it a lot harder to operate.
Realistically, given the fact that farmers are not making enough money to cover that sort of tax, it's really not evaluating the farms that are at the lowest end of the spectrum, who are going to be within this bracket, where the government has unfortunately miscalculated their figures, and there are going to be plenty of farms who we see leave the industry because of it.
I mean, it says it affects farms that are worth $1 million. I mean, is that the majority of farms these days that are valued at $1 million?
Oh, you're thinking multiple millions. You know, the price of land is huge now. You know, the average is 8,900 per acre, and you think an average farm size is 300
acres.
There you go, 300 acres. Yeah. You know, when you take buildings into account as well, that's a hell of a lot. And for that sort of acreage, you're not generating a great income. You know, food prices are not reflective of the cost of production that's in place with farms.
And what are some costs that farmers go through? Not so much just the tax, but just, you know, just the operational costs of running a farm. I mean, how expensive is it?
I worked out being a rough idea of a 200-acre farm. You could look to maybe make a 25 grand profit if everything was going well. There's times where things will not be going well. There's machinery that can bugger up, you need to change around. There's so many different factors that come into play that are totally out of our control, whether it's weather, whether it's the government's red tape. At the end of the day, we've got so many uncertainties that we're just looking for a bit of relief, a bit of support for once.
Say if farmers eventually do have to sell up the land and less land is being used for farming, what is the land going to be used for, do you think?
Well, I'm guessing it'll be sold for either developments for housing or possibly renewable energy projects like solar farms and things like that. It just seems such a shame that we seem to be asset stripping our last privatised industry.
Yeah, and I think when people talk about British culture, that seems to be quite of a, uncertain answer most of the time, but I think farming itself is all about British culture. I think you guys are the bread and butter of the nation.
Well, literally, yeah, thank you very much, but we don't want to be thanked for what we do. We just want to do it and be left to it, really. It's not about having thanks or gratitude or appreciation. We've always done it, and we just want to continue doing it in a way that doesn't feel like we're being attacked.
What's something that you guys would like to see the government do to just benefit farmers in general?
Genuinely, I would like to see more focus given towards fighting back against the supermarkets, price gouging farmers. That would be a really good place to start. Implementing sensible environmental policy, which there's been a lot of good groundwork so far, but there needs to be further work done to ensure that we're also providing good environmental good for the British public and also providing food as well. There needs to be that balance.
And you think after today anything will change? Are you hopeful?
No, I don't think the government are going to take this seriously today, in all fairness. It's quite a bleak way of saying it.
Yeah.
But the government have got hard decisions to make, and that's understandable. But we need to be able to show them that this is not the right way. There is other ways of doing this. This is just absolutely shocking. It is the death of the family farm tax, as they put it.
As you can see, this is going to be a really peaceful protest. They've got kids in the background on tractors who are going to lead the march when it begins, but as you can see, it's a family day out because a lot of the farmers, they have families and they are family farms, and that's what they're trying to protect. And look at the turnout. People from all around the UK have come here today. Like I said, everyone is really having similar messages. No farmers, no food. They feel like this tax is really unfair and they're not going to be able to pay the tax if it gets implemented. What does it mean for their land in the future? Some believe it's going to be used for building up properties or even green initiatives that we've been hearing, but they do feel like after today nothing will change.
I've got people in practice, it's 300 acres of land. Now in theory it's worth a fortune, in practice they're lucky to make 30,000 quid a year on it.
As you can see, a lot of farmers are here today making their voices heard. They're very angry with the politicians and the government with this inheritance tax.
Do we think you could do that one more time, even louder? Yes.
Thank you, calling for a minute. Something's happened over here.
Can we have some medics, please? We just need a medic over B.
How many people here, if you'd raise your hands, are from a family farm? I want to see, right. I hope you can see that. I hope we've got our cameras from the show up high to see. That's a lot of hands. Now, keep them up. And I want you to lower them if you think, and you've had time to work this out, you think you're going to be unaffected by the changes to APR and BPR. Put your hands down if you're going to be unaffected. Thank you. My case rests.
Wow, Whitehall is just completely packed today. Must be over 10,000. They said between 10 to 40,000. I think that's true. It's absolutely tipping it down here in London. And look at the crowds here at the minute. We've got this tractor still here in the middle.
There should be no inheritance tax. It's lunacy. On the one hand, it's incompetence and it's just lefties being lefties. On the other hand, it's a far left, globalist, Stalinist hybrid agenda to kill off what they can of small. It's also part of the establishment hate small businesses. We saw it during lockdown as well.
I mean, this tax will generate hundreds of thousands per person. I mean, what do you think they're going to do with that money?
They're gonna do what they do. They're gonna fund our destruction. They're gonna import our destruction. They're gonna spend it on woke policing, which furthers crime stats in the UK, makes people lose faith, lose trust. Diversity hires. It's not just Labour, who seem to be Marxists. It's not just Labour. It's the Conservatives as well. It's the establishment. Look, they spend 21 billion a year propping up out of work migrants who UKIP would deport. They spend 8 million quid a day on housing illegal invaders who we don't know who they are. The money that they're saying it's taxation prudence. It's absolute nonsense. It's just another. I want your viewers to hear this. It's another way to destabilise us, demoralise us, denigrate us. It's just the constant assault on liberty, private property, and traditional family values in a lot of ways.
Definitely, it feels like they're going after everyone, and now they're going for the most respected people in the country, the farmers, the people that literally put food on our table. I mean, what's the kind of perception now of the government? It seems like everyone's lost respect for them in that sense.
Yeah, farming and agriculture are responsible for an awful lot in the UK. 122 billion is what they put into the UK economy. They're responsible for 4.1 million jobs. 80% of meat is produced that we eat is produced in the UK. It's absolute madness how they're being treated. But again, what more can we expect from the establishment?
Guys, it's absolutely tipping it down. I'm drenched, but this is normal weather for farmers. This is what they do day to day. They're out and about, producing food for the public. This is what they do. But they're taking a day off to literally come down and have their voices heard. We've heard many speeches today from politicians. Even Jeremy Clarkson was here, and they all shared similar messages. Literally, just the government make a U-turn on this inheritance tax bill that's going to be affecting farmers, and we're going to see a decrease in farmers in general around the country. And even I saw a lady cry on the stage, which was really sad to see. So people really feel strongly about this. Oh no, we've got ladies fell over. A slippery day out in London. And yeah, this is just a portion of the crowd. Some people are heading home, but just take a look at it from here. You can see the stage in the distance. Do you have a farm?
Yeah, I do have a farm.
Whereabouts are you based?
Just outside London, South End.
How do you feel about today? A lot of people talking. I even saw women crying about how desperate this situation is. Yeah, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's desperate, yeah. I mean, our farm's third generation. We're arable and beef. Like, your parents can't afford to go, really, because it's betrayal of the farmers and the betrayal of the British public, because it's not just the farmers that are going to be paying for it down the line. It's going to be the British public. It's going to be everybody that's going to be paying for it.
Yeah, and when you say British public, people don't understand that food prices could increase, or maybe there's a shortage of food. We saw during the pandemic, people are fighting over toilet roll. I mean, what's the amount of time until we're fighting over slices of beef?
Yeah, it could us today, and it could be you tomorrow. So there's no. This government holds no scruples, unfortunately.
And for you guys, it's not like you wake up one day, I want to be a farmer. It's all you guys know, I guess, right?
Yeah, and we don't want to sell the land. We want to produce food for people, and we want to sort of, we're proud of our farms and we're proud of what we produce. I mean, you've seen the tens of thousands of people that have turned up today. This tax, there's no incentive. I mean, even for small businesses and stuff, the incentive to actually start a business, if they're just going to hammer you the whole time when you're going to start a business, stuff's just gone up through the roof. We've got import tax, which is, I think, coming for fertiliser. So they're asking farmers to go into these subsidies, which basically pay you to leave your ground with nothing in all winter, so you can you get more for that than what you would do actually producing crops. Everything's going to be imported now, and I think that's just that's what they want.
Yeah, and I feel like days like today, it's not just farmers who should come out, the public should, because it's going to affect everyone. Yeah,
they should, yeah, without a doubt. And there's a lot of discontent here, but the farming community is a strong-knit community.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I didn't realise how big it was, but look
massive.
At it.
It's massive, yeah, from all four corners of the country. So good on us, because it will affect everybody.
Like the sign, mate, you got your shirt as well, just use oil. What's the reason for that?
Well, if we don't, we're going to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
We need to do that. We can't survive without that.
Yeah.
And we don't want to keep on importing it from other countries.
That's what's happening, yeah. I mean, we had Brexit to kind of be self-sustainable, and we're doing anything but that.
Exactly. We can't just sit back and let this happen.
I mean, why do you think they almost want to get rid of all the land that's been passed on for generations?
Wind farms, solar panels. They want to have solar farms and wind farms, but I mean, that isn't going to solve the problem, is it? Not if they stop oil, that isn't going to. It's going to be on and off. Whenever it runs out, we're all going to have no electric and no power and no farming as well. I mean, where's this country going? Come on.
Okay, so a lot of the protesters now come up further down the street towards Big Ben, as you can see here. And there's a guy on the mic yelling, probably carrying on the message that we've been hearing. But yeah, I mean, look how passionate the farmers feel. And like I said with many people, this is going to affect you, me, everyone, not just the farmers. It's going to hurt everyone's pockets.
Real farmers! Real food! Real farmers! Real food! Real farmers! Real food!
I see you coming in fruit and veg, the very food that farmers provide the nation.
This morning, 8 hours ago. But bless it, it's wilting a little bit now after today.
Yeah, what's the reality of being a farmer? Obviously you've got your produce here, but what is the reality that people don't really get to see?
I'll tell you what the reality is, and the country needs a wake-up call, because if our borders are ever compromised, if for some reason there was ever a war, we are an island. We are an island, and people forget that. And if our borders are compromised, we need the food that's from this country. We need the farmers of this country to provide that food. If the government aren't behind our farmers, we won't have no food. Your children will have no food. All the ladies here that have newborn babies, if they can't get the milk that they need, if they're not breastfeeding, they will need a dairy farmer to come to their rescue. That'll be the English dairy farmer, the British dairy farmer that brings the fresh milk for their babies. Support the farmers, give them more land, cut back their taxes. Without growth, without food, you won't survive.
What's your message for Keir Starmer after today?
Well, I think, yeah, get out, I think. Christ, but, come back to planet Earth, for God's sake. You cannot survive without your farmers.
Well, listen to your advisors too, for God's sake. We know they're trying to help and they've been shunned.
Yeah, it's no good. He's lying to it. He's lying to the whole country. He's lying to 66 million people. But it's not just about farming, it's about everything. Yeah. He's got to go. It's no bloody good. He's got to go. I fear... I like to think of myself as an optimist, especially regarding farming, but I'm starting to fear for the future of it. Because, I mean, we've got a small farm and we work for other farmers as well. That's the trouble with it, you see. You're not in it for the money. We haven't got, because the land's worth so much, we haven't got the money in our bloody back pockets. Like, it's there, it's just gone up underneath our feet, sort of thing.
We haven't got flash machinery. The newest tractor's 1983. The Land Rover's 26 years old. He's done over 200,000 miles now. We can't afford to replace it.
Do you think there's kind of a disconnect between those who live in the countryside per se and then those living in like urban areas? They don't understand it.
They don't understand it, and people come from the cities and the towns into the countryside thinking, oh yeah, we'll have it nice and peaceful. We're out there till 2, 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning working to try and provide for people, and we get told off, we get told to shut down. We shouldn't be out here, it should be a 9 till 5 job. And it's not, farming's not a 9 till 5 job, it's a 24 hours, 7 days a week job. And us English, we provide the best beef, dairy products, food products in the whole world. Like our stands are top, like at the top of across the world. So.
Hey buddy, I see you got your wheat, is it barley or wheat? What do you call it?
Wheat! Wheat! He doesn't know the difference between barley and his wheat, does he?
I'm not a farmer.
No, that's all right, that's okay, that's why I brought it here. Yeah. But, you've got wheat there that makes bread. We've got runner beans, we've got carrots in there.
Love it.
And I've got also soil that's coming off the roots.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you've got so much in that bag, and you guys are the people that provide for the nation, put food on our tables. How do you feel at the minute with the government?
That's the problem with that question, is how do I feel about the government? I feel the government is losing, and not just this one. This one's on steroids now, but the previous one lost the plot as well. But they're losing the touch with what's going on in reality in the country. If you keep taxing the very thing that earns you the money, that puts you in employment and puts you in jobs, all you're doing is killing off the goose that lays the golden egg
that they're supposed to be supporting.
Yeah.
And where do you think you guys will go if you guys have to eventually sell the land?
I'm all right, if you want to put it that way. Why am I all right? Because I'm retired. I've got a small holding, and I shall probably leave it over to my family, and they might then sell it on or whatever they might do with it. Yeah. But why am I here today? I'm here to support the family farms. The family farms that have invested over years and even generations growing their businesses to produce the end product, from wheat to bread to crisps. Say I die tomorrow and I've got £1 million to spend to have to pay, or my family has to pay out an inheritance tax. Okay, so what part of the business do I get rid of? Do I get rid of the land that grows the crop? Do I get rid of the machinery that actually farms it? Do I get rid of the house that I live in? What part do I get rid of? It's all integral.
Alright guys, so the crowds are just dispersed and we spoke to a lot of farmers today, and you saw where they come from. They came in their thousands today here in Whitehall. It was meant to be a march that was meant to go around this part of London. However, there were so many people that they couldn't facilitate it. We saw how strongly people felt about the issues, especially the inheritance tax. And on a day like today, when it's pissing down raining and they're coming out here, they obviously feel some type of way about it. And this is going to affect everyone. It's going to affect me, you. I mean, what's going to happen to food prices in the future, and what's going to happen to the farmland that literally these families and farmers have been on for years and years, passed down from generation for generation, we've heard. But this was London, guys. This was a farmer protest, a very peaceful farmer protest. I'm absolutely freezing. I'll see you for the next one.